Hello, my name is Francis Crowder. I'm your County Council member from District 1, and I would like to go over one of your favorite subjects, your tax bill. Everybody enjoys going to the mailbox and picking up their tax bill, and they look at it and they say, what does this pay for? So today I would like to go through the process of what makes up your tax bill, because I think it's very important for you to realize that we provide many wonderful and essential services for the citizens of Anderson County. The tax bill process actually starts with a budget, and this is a budget. See how thick it is? It's the working budget. It starts out like that. The first thing that we begin to look at as the cost center managers are developing their budget, the administrator and the finance director are getting together with the finance committee and going over what the projected revenue is going to be for the next fiscal year. And that revenue is broken down by millage, depending upon the different demands of the county. Now, I would like for you to really pay attention to what I'm going to say next, because in my mind it's a key point. When you look at that tax bill and you look at this chart here, 65.4% of the tax dollars on your tax bill go to the schools. Well, if you take a look, only 25% of your tax dollar goes to the county. 7% goes to Tri-County Tech, 0.8% goes to special services and other. So basically the county itself has very little money to operate on as you look at the total tax bill. So after we get together all the tax dollars, then as the department heads send in their sheets, they go into a book like this, and they also go into a printout in color like that. And the administrator and his staff go together and go through that wish list and come out with what is called an administrator's recommended budget. The administrator is charged with working one-on-one with the different cost center managers to try to trim the budget so that that cost center can be effective, but it also can be efficient with the use of taxpayer dollars. We do not take that task casually. It's important to us because there are many services that we have almost no control over. You say, what? County Council has no control? Well, let's take a look. County Council has no control over how the money is spent in the school district. Secondly, County Council has no control whatsoever over what is called mandated services, which make up a significant part of our budget, around $7.5+ million. And these are functions that the state of South Carolina legislature says that each county must fund, yet we have no say-so basically in how those funds can be spent. And more importantly, the state legislature tells us in budget provisos that we cannot cut that. So our hands are basically tied that we have to fund those services. In about 2007 and 2008, the legislature passed a provision called Act 388, which basically overhauled the property tax structure of every county in South Carolina and reduced the property tax rates significantly, not only on property, but also on automobiles. When you take a look at that, that really took a hammer at our budget. For example, the amount of assessed value of revenue was reduced by $4,670,000 on property tax. Another thing that the state legislature did was they ratcheted down or reduced the percent of tax on vehicles. That generated an additional $3.3 million that County Council had to somehow mystically come up with in order to balance the budget. Well, let's be realistic. It's no way on approximately $55 to $60 million budget that you can come up with $8 million worth of cuts in order to continue. So therefore, some of the things that were sacrificed, items at the heart of the citizens of Anderson County, and that's paving. Paving. We have not been able to do the kind of paving that we need to do in Anderson County. Now, if you read the newspapers, you will see a lot of discussion about the fact the legislature this year, depending on which bill gets approved, but none of that money, not 1 cent, is going to come to Anderson County. Not one dime. Most of it will go into the massive interstate projects. In Anderson County, we have 1,499 miles of county highways. Monies that come out of the state do not help us with that 1,499 miles of highways. Now, those highways have been categorized into a multiplicity of categories. Excellent, we have 450 miles of excellent county roads. Let's go to the bottom of the list. Failing, totally failing, we have 9 miles. Now, believe it or not, the cost estimate per mile to fix those 9 miles is $330,000 a mile. Can you believe it? Hard to believe, isn't it, that it costs so much? But in order just to fix those 9 miles, that would be $2.9 million. We have 64 miles of poor roads, and they would also cost $330,000 a mile. That's $21,120,000. We have 268 miles of fair roads that would cost $200,000 per mile, an additional $53.6 million. And then we have 708 miles of good roads, and those roads would cost us $100,000 or $70 million. In total, that's $148.5 million. The county is in a dilemma. Not only our county, but every county in the state of South Carolina. How in the world are we going to begin to fund our infrastructure? Well, Columbia's not going to do anything about it. We've seen that for 6 years that I've been on council now. Each year they say we're going to come up with a solution, but keep in mind their solutions never include the roads in our county road system. So we can't pass it on to somebody else. You know, there's an old saying, well, let's just keep kicking the problem or the bucket down the road and maybe it'll just disappear. Well, that's what's happened now. We have kicked the bucket down the road, and that's why we have not only potholes but failing infrastructure up and down our county. Last year, we were very fortunate in that we funded about $3 million into our road system, which was an anomaly, which will not be repeated this year because funds are not available. And you say, well, why are funds not available? Well, you live and you go to the drugstore, you go to the grocery store, you go to the doctor's office, you go to a variety of places where you purchase items, and everything seems to be going up. Well, that's the way it is with county and state government. So the dollars that we have do not go as far as they used to And that phenomenon has continued to occur every year but one since 2008, when the state made that $8 million worth of cuts. So I don't know what the solution is, but I'll be frank with you. We can either continue to just close our eyes and hope ultimately that somebody else does something about it. And I can tell you now, I don't believe that's going to happen. Somebody else is not going to do anything about it. Or we can face the proposition that we in Anderson County ourselves have to do something about it. And that's going to be a bullet to bite, because nobody likes increased taxes. Now I want to make a point. I'm not using this program to promote increasing taxes, but to only from a financial standpoint tell you about the options that we face when we put this budget together. Option number can be, we could do like York County, where York County passed a 1-cent sales tax and totally dedicated it to roads. And they did that many years ago, and the citizens liked it so much that because it had a sunset provision in it, they voted to continue it, and the roads of York County really are coming up to date. A second option is an option that approximately 10 counties in the state has, is to put on a vehicle fee. A vehicle fee is like a $15, $20, $25. Of the current counties that have a vehicle fee, they range anywhere from, I don't know why they selected $13.99, but one county does, up to $45 per car. Now at a $20 per vehicle, that would bring in $3.5 million, because believe it or not, Anderson County currently has 175,000 vehicles on the road. Now as you look around Anderson, you would think that they were all located here because our highways are really big. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know what the county council is going to do. I'm only presenting the fact that if we want our roads improved, now you can say we need to cut out of our existing budget. In the 6 years I have been here, I have tried to be a champion of cutting the budget, and I think that you will look and see that we have been very successful in doing that. We've maintained, even with increasing cost pressures, that your taxes basically have not gone up. In fact, one year it went down 1 mil, but you didn't recognize the 1 mil, because while our part of the budget went down 1 mil, the school budget went up, so the net effect on your cost bill was still the same or a little bit more. So we have tried to be good fiduciary managers of the tax dollars that come into Anderson County. Now the Public Works Department, which is responsible for paving of our roads, repair of our bridges, replacing culverts, or those big terracotta things that you see underneath roads, are busy at work. In addition to that, they do the potholes. Now I know that they could do a whole lot more if they had funds. Now some of the successes of using the vehicle fee have been the fact that that money was 100% allocated to paving roads. They couldn't do anything else with it. No administrative dollars come off. So that is one possible venue that people need to think about.